Right. Hello, this is Toby's 3D prints. Still recovering from the COVID virus. So today I thought I'd just make a short video talking about the CR10. And as I said, I'm not interested in doing machine reviews like you've seen on all other channels. There's plenty of reviews on these machines and that you can check out if you're wondering about, well, the complete machine. Now, what I want to talk about basically is the experience I've had with this. I bought it, I think the 8th of December, and got it sometime around there. And it's been printing great. It's a great printer. It really provides good printing quality, as you might have seen on my Instagram. I print a lot of statues and stuff like that. I print in 0.08 layer height, so I more or less don't get any layer lines. And a big build plate, a good printer of course helps. Previous to this I had an R3, but there were some things I didn't know about this printer, and issues can occur with everything of course, but this one had some specific ones that were completely new to me. So first off, of the box experience, this machine is a piece of shit. The build plate I got for it, the original one, is warped to hell. So I went to the support forums and was like, yeah, don't worry about it. The ABL will fix that, because it will make up for the fact that your build plate is warped, and that will take care of it. So I talked to crowd support and they're like, no, don't worry about that. That's such a small increment. Unless it's, I think it's 2 millimeters at each side, the ABL will take care of it. And I just try to explain to them, yes, that's fine, but that means that whatever I try to print will be crooked and skewed, since the build plate isn't straight and the ABL is now trying to compensate for that. So after that, I actually get around, and there was a piece of glue over this. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little, the original, there's a little knob you can turn here. It's a screw actually, but anyhow. So I could actually adjust it better, actually get it to print. After of course I had to replace the fan duct because that just came off. After that I had the classical, well, classical I would say hot end issue, where basically there will be a gap between the nozzle and the actual hot end where the tube comes down. So I've made my own hot end fix, but it's essentially the same as everyone else's. I run a piece of tube here, I have a little insert, I have a connector that the tube doesn't go through, so it's a little space there, but it's connected, so there's no gap down here, or here it's straight on. Then of course I can actually show you my build plate now, which is completely ruined. I'm running a pay sheet, spring flex, and that's completely ruined because my ABL stopped working. Not completely, of course. See, what happened was, and this is how I learned it, because for me this wasn't anything that was easy to find. You can see a blue light here. I can actually do like this, you can see it there. So, you can see the blue light, and if you have a normal ABL, it actually senses even skin. I have an inductive one because I wanted to get one fast now, so. And when I do this, the red light on the top comes on. Let's see here. And the blue light shuts off. So what happened was, when my issue occurred, basically in the mill, it would probe more properly, sometimes, and then it wouldn't, so it would just knock down into this bed and scrape it. Or even better, it would think it was correct and then start moving and scraping it. So I was getting probing failed. So basically it will probe middle, go out, start doing the probe when I do measuring, and it would fail and just keep pushing it down, knocking it every single time. Until it gave me an error that said probe failed. And you know, that was worrisome, but this worked. The old sensor I had worked, because it would light up. But then I realized every time I went out here, this would light up, but that wouldn't turn off like you saw in the video. The blue light would still be on. If the blue light's still on, it basically means that this gets power, and the third wire, because this has 3, I don't think you can see it in my camera, but basically have ground, voltage, and signal. And the signal wire is basically worn on the original configuration, because there's no strain leaf on these cables. Not sure if you can see that either. So when it came in like this, it was fine, but when it was like this, it wasn't fine. So basically when it moved around, it would lose connection to the signal wire. And that basically caused it to not be able to home properly, to measure the print bed, or anything at all, which essentially caused it to fail. So I had to replace that as well. Now of course after I replaced that, because I just bought an inductive sensor on Amazon with the correct diameters, so I could just get back to printing. It's been working again. But my bed, as of now, I'm waiting for a new one, because this bed is completely ruined by this. Creality support, you have to know that they are just bad. Horrible, in fact. You buy a machine, and that has these specs. I mean, you have a huge build plate, you have a tall frame, so you can you can print helmets and stuff. You can do all these things, but you get this for around 400 to 600. I think I paid 400 for this one on a sale. And you have to understand that your warranty is not actually warranty you have with Creality, because it's, yeah, send it back, we'll have a look at, maybe you'll get a new one, or it'll be like, oh yeah, I'll send you a new this or that, and you'll have it in 2 months, and hopefully that will work. It's not so much warranty as it's basically just try to keep them content, because this shit's not going to fix itself. You get a new part, but it's going to break eventually as well. And that's something you need to know when you get into the 3D printing world. This is very much plug and play with great results. I mean, you put on the scan tray when you get it, and that's essentially everything you put on. You just bolt in 2 bolts down here, 2 bolts on the other side. You see the little cable connector here that's dangerously close to the wheel knobs. You connect those, and then you're basically off. That is the truth about 3D printing. This is why, like, the really big flash forges and Quidi and machines like that cost 30,000 Swedish crowns, which is basically 30,000 euros, and this only costs 400. But other than that, and of course I came from an Ender 3 with an SKR board. And that SKR board allowed me to do a lot of things on the machine menu. Now I have flashed this with Tiny Machines software, so it is a lot better. But I couldn't even do E-steps on the extruder and stuff like that when I got this. This to me was such a downgrade from my Ender 3 tool-wise that I was just like, this is incredible. This is so bad. But now I have, so I can adjust ease steps, extrude ease steps, and store them and stuff like that. So it's good now, but honestly, the software side on this was a mess. I do recommend this machine, but you have to know that you have to be able to work on it. You have to understand some mechanics behind it. And I can say, before I understood this failure, I wasn't sure what's going on. I thought it was actually hardware. Well, it was hardware, but I thought it was like a motherboard or a firmware issue. But it turned out to be this, so I'm glad I just found that. It's not just it's not that simple, and you have to be able to Google, you have to be able to try things, you have to be able to search things, because you can't entrust quality support. I actually have a mail here where I sent them the video explaining the whole issue with the ABL, and they basically tell me, does the nozzle squeeze out the hotbed during reset? Please move the nozzle to the distance of 0.1 from the hotbed. Use a screwdriver to turn the screw on the sensor to make gesture. And I told them it's a wiring issue, and that was 11 days ago. So that's essentially what you get buying a Chinese 3D printer. But then again, you don't have much choices in the 3D printing world unless you want to pay really big bucks. Overall, I think this machine delivers some great results, some really good results. But it's not an out-of-the-box experience. You have to be able to tinker with it.